Just yesterday, I saw a 15-year-old with grade 5 baldness. Can you believe it? And I did not know what to tell the mother. I was at a loss of words. And his mother was as hapless as I was helpless. No solution to offer. As many of my colleagues doing hair transplant are slowly discovering, the hair transplant landscape is not the same as it was just about 5 years back. From a heady cocktail that was hair transplant, it soon changed to a cautious minefield. But a hair transplant today carries the dangers a Molotov cocktail brings to a peaceful, to a calm, thatched home. And it all started post-COVID-19. More and more bald and balding patients are finding themselves being refused a hair transplant, and they are flabbergasted. When 6 out of 10 patients who walked into my clinic a few years back were candidates for a hair transplant, a mere 4 out of 10 meet the eligibility criteria in 2025. But you might ask, hey Dr. Bhatti, but where does the danger lurk in all this for me while I search for a hair transplant? What is this talk all about? Well, the shrinking pool of doable hair transplants which are eligible, which meet the stringent criteria for a hair transplant, on one hand, and more clinics competing for the same pool of clients, which is shrinking, on the other, is unfolding a dangerous game of one-upmanship and unethical behavior. And I'm going to tell you now how hair transplants are not going to be the same anymore. But first, the causes behind this problem. The problem why most people do not find themselves fit for a hair transplant anymore. Number one, age. It has been noted that after COVID-19, hair loss due to androgenic alopecia has started to appear in younger patients. And we all know that the earlier hair loss appears, the more unpredictable its behavior becomes. And if a hair transplant is done less than 25 years of age, with poor planning, this can lead to disastrous outcomes, since we are unaware how far the baldness will progress before it finally stabilizes. So you're just shooting in the dark. And then we come on to lifestyle choices. As we all know, modern lifestyles have deteriorated post-pandemic. And this has affected overall health and hair quality. Increased stress levels following COVID and chronic anxiety states exacerbate hair loss due to cortisol dysregulation. Smoking and poor quality sleep directly impact follicular health, and disrupting the circadian rhythm, the biological clock, by not sleeping and waking with the sun negatively affects hormonal balance, particularly that of melatonin and testosterone. Our dietary habits are shifting towards processed food, artificial protein supplements, and the consumption of non-home cooked meals, which are deficient in essential nutrients needed for good hair health. And then thirdly, the evolutionary pressure. As human evolution progresses, we retain traits only deemed fit, only deemed essential for survival. Since humans no longer depend upon hair for thermoregulation, its loss is increasingly prevalent. And the pandemic has not helped one bit. It has increased our sedentary habits, work from home schedules, and indoor living, making this evolutionary trend more evident. And then the fear of hair transplant surgery. The rise of social media and easily accessible graphic content depicting poorly performed hair transplants has generated a culture of fear and hesitation. Patients frequently present with anxieties stemming from botched procedures that are widely circulated online. And lastly, the aversion to medication, and in particular, finasteride. And since sedentary habits post-COVID lower testosterone, the fear of medications like finasteride has escalated despite the many benefits that this drug has when used responsibly. Rampant public misinformation, compounded by anecdotal horror stories, discourages patients today from pursuing proven medical protocols, proven medical therapies for controlling the hair loss. And increased cases of extreme levels of male pattern baldness, like DUPA, diffuse unpatterned alopecia. Once considered very rare, DUPA is increasingly becoming more and more prevalent in those suffering from androgenic alopecia. And these patients are notoriously poor candidates for a hair transplant due to paucity, scarcity of donor areas. And this is the reason why you should exercise caution. In today's environment of highly competitive hair transplant industry, caution has never been more critical. While advertisements and promotional contents often suggest that hair transplants are a universal solution for everyone suffering from hair loss, the reality is far more nuanced. Not everyone, my dear friends, is a suitable candidate. And rushing into a surgery by just reading an advertisement without proper evaluation can lead to undesirable outcomes that affect both aesthetics and long-term health. Many advertisements today portray hair transplants as a quick, guaranteed fix for your baldness. More often than not, omitting the complexities involved in patient selection and in the surgical procedure that it is. Marketing tactics emphasize before and after transformations and conveniently overlook the strict requirement for eligibility for hair transplant, potential risks for complications, and the reality that certain types of hair loss, like diffuse pattern alopecia, cannot be effectively treated through hair transplants. The post-pandemic surge in demand for cosmetic procedures, especially hair transplant, combined with relaxed regulations in many countries, has led to an explosion of hair transplant clinics, as you all know. And this hyper-competitive environment has created a dangerous landscape where clinics driven by pressure to maximize their revenue may prioritize financial gain over patient welfare. Increasingly unqualified, inexperienced practitioners are entering the field, compromising surgical outcomes, bringing a bad name to the procedure hair transplant. Aggressive sales tactics push patients towards procedures, even when non-surgical and conservative treatments would be more appropriate than a hair transplant. When clinics treat patients as mere sources of profit, ethical standards get compromised, and the most common pitfalls include overharvesting of the donor, permanent scarring, depletion of available grafts, permanent shock loss, compromising future surgeries as your baldness evolves. Poorly planned surgeries that fail to account for the progressive nature of hair loss in androgenic alopecia, resulting in unnatural hairlines and patchy coverage. Recommending surgery to patients who are too young or have unstable hair loss increases the likelihood of dissatisfaction and the need for corrective procedures. So that was the talk for today. If you have any questions about this talk, about hair loss treatment for men and women, about hair transplants, or you want a personalized consultation, please contact us on the numbers given above or leave a comment in the comment section below and I'll get back to you at the soonest. Have a nice day and God bless you.